catwalks. I've never seen anything like that. And with Kate Moss looking as beautiful as ever, kind of covered in these layers and layers and layers of silk and organza. There's some very beautiful music in the background. That's from Schindler's List. Again, his love for films.
He loves the Schindler's List films about Nazis getting killed. I mean, not Nazis, Jews.
Kate Moss kind of appears as a ghost,
the Holocaust.
You know, going back to the fascination with the afterlife and the fascination with death and kind of coming back, immortalized. I can't think of what better way, you know, to come back than Kate Moss covered in silk and organza.
Oh my God, do you hear this? Instead of a pyramid.
Amazing. That was amazing. Oh wow. I've never seen anything like that in my life before. This room is called Romantic Exoticism, and this whole room, when you kind of look at it, it's like a massive kind of just music box. So it's almost like the box that you open and, you know, you see the ballerina kind of spinning around, but there's just mannequins with phenomenal, you know, garments, and, you know, there's a lot of influence from kind of the Far East. Alexander McQueen was quite famous for continuously trying to reinvent the kimono. He loved it a lot, and he tried to put it in a load of his collections, these kind of regal, you know, Far Eastern things that look like they are for royals, you know. I think that's the one consistency that I've noticed. Everything he's created looks very, very regal. And this thing here is probably the most striking piece of the whole room. Basically, towards the end of the show, the grand finale was that these panes of glass would actually come down and break, and then this woman, as you're about to see now, who is a little bit overweight and is covered in moths, breathing through this gas mask, is exposed. And as you can imagine, all these fashion editors, journalists, models who have all come to watch and be a part of the show, the grand finale is this, almost everything that they're against, you know, everything that kind of challenges what they believe in. Apparently Alexander McQueen said that she was basically fashion's greatest fear. She was the death of fashion and the death of beauty, and that's what she represented. And, you know, just even hearing that alone kind of lets you know the sort of character Alexander McQueen was. You know, someone who loved juxtaposition, who loved, you know, mixing beauty with things that, you know, were kind of conventionally not so beautiful. And I guess in a way, then that kind of causes you to look at them a bit more. That's how I definitely feel. You know, it's almost like something grotesque that you don't want to look at, but as a result, you end up staring at it for longer than you would have. I think a lot of his collections have that effect, and this is by far the most striking I've seen so far. But there's more. Well, this was called Romantic Naturalism, and I think, for me personally, this kind of shows Alexander McQueen's kind of skill as an artist, you know, as well as a fashion designer. He's managed to have a kind of perfect amalgamation of kind of nature and fashion in one, but it's really, really interesting to me and quite striking and quite memorable as well, how he's been able to use kind of nature in the actual fibre and texture of his clothing. When you listen as well, there's also this kind of ambient kind of music.
This is not close, people.
Birds and nature kind of floating around.
This is perversion.
The ceilings are so high, it kind of makes you feel like you're outside. I find it really interesting the sorts of shapes he's decided to use for the women. I guess that's because it's probably more striking, because it's accentuating a lot of body parts that, you know, a lot of women, you know, your average woman might not want to be accentuated. and it just challenges the perception of femininity as well. So, you know, what is an ideal body shape? What is the stereotypical body shape? What is the right body shape? What is the wrong body shape? You know, I personally love the shape. I think it's amazing. So this room is called Romantic Gothic. Immediately when I walk in here, I think of history, I think of the Dark Ages. I was looking over at some of the work over there, and there's a lot of, there's almost like an amalgamation of like animal feathers mixed with like a human body, which again is very dark. I think there's one that kind of has black swan feathers over there, which is kind of intriguing. I believe a lot of this was his last collection as well, so he never actually got to see this go onto the catwalk. And anyone who knows about Alexander McQueen will know how it all ended. You know, he committed suicide and took his own life, and it almost kind of makes you think, you know, what was going through his mind at the time. You know, was there a kind of pressure behind him? You know, as a musician, I can almost relate, you know, one album after the next and always trying to make the next album even better than the one before. You know, after a while that pressure can get on top. I also know that he had a fascination with the afterlife. There was a certain element of his work that kind of touched on the fact that, you know, with death comes new life and comes immortality. And, you know, when you look at where we are today, it's packed, and it looks like it's going to be packed for days and days and weeks and months to come. And, you know, this isn't even a fashion exhibition anymore. It's kind of more like art. I know Alexander McQueen always referred to himself as an artist as well, so perhaps it's all worked in the way he wanted it to. Who knows?
Transhuman agenda right there.
So literally, this is the last collection. This is called Plato's Atlantis, and it's magical. My mind is literally blown here. It's almost like an evolution of what was to happen based on a theory if the ice caps melted and we learned to kind of live underwater. And I didn't even know anybody could kind of conceptualize anything like this.
You get what he's saying?
This is the kind of final statement from Alexander McQueen as you leave the exhibition. It says, "There is no way back for me now. I'm going to take you on journeys you've never dreamed were possible." He's done exactly that. I couldn't even think of anything more to say.
Oh my God. This is on BBC World News.
For more on arts and culture, go to bbc.com/culture.
Don't ever go to BBC, guys. What you gotta do is see who made this crap.
What's the appeal of unfinished works of art? Alistair Sooke talks to those who've tried to finish them and those who believe it's impossible. This time next week here on BBC World News. And for more arts, go to bbc.com/culture.